This is the Lawrence Welk countdown. 5 and a 4 and a 3 and a 2 and a 1. 1.
That's going in.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn.
Paul, you got some energy today.
We'll find some.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hey, we've got some really interesting news on the Weekly Traveler. Every week on Tuesdays, we put out a Weekly Traveler via email to 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. And then we put this podcast together just as a summary of what's going on.
A little personality to it.
In a matter of 10 minutes, you can listen to us every week. Now we're talking this week about amazing things that are happening in the travel industry this year in 2025. And one of our predictions came true, Paul.
We did. We got, well, you got one.
Okay, here we go. The first headline this week in the Weekly Traveler reads, "Sold out." As a matter of fact, Paul, this is unbelievable. Viking River Cruises came out last week and they said, hey, we're almost sold out. We've got 89% of all of our cabins sold for river cruises in Europe in 2025.
Yep.
That's never happened before.
No.
And they're adding ships every year. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's like baby boomers have gone crazy on river cruising.
Well, it's a great way to go explore, get multiple cities, not have to pack and unpack to do that. So I understand why.
Good value. Includes your meals. Don't have to pack and unpack. You can see all the famous cities of Europe if you go down the Danube or the Rhine or any of these other little rivers throughout Europe. And we're seeing even river cruising in the U.S., the Mississippi, Ohio, all these different rivers. So river cruising is very popular. And obviously, if you haven't made your reservations this year, you may be.
It may be too late. Or
too
it
late.
Might be time to start looking at 2026.
Sorry, Charlie. That's what they're saying. So that'd been a better headline. Sorry, Charlie.
There we go.
Okay.
Too late.
The second headline this week's Weekly Traveler. Great news. Giant news, actually. Southwest. Actually, this isn't great news.
Oh, this is tough news.
Terrible
news.
This
is a big change.
Southwest ends bags fly free. Now, Paul, for the last 3 decades, Southwest has made their whole advertising on
their brand.
Yeah, bags fly free. Everybody else charged. Southwest didn't, and they advertised the heck out of it. And then Wall Street got a hold of them, right?
The investor group, yep.
The investor group came aboard, and they said, you're going to start charging.
You're going to start making money.
Yeah. So Southwest said on May 28th of 2025, flights after that, if you're flying Southwest, you're going to pay for those bags. No longer bags fly free. Now, you and I predicted that
they go from bags fly free to bag flies free.
You bet.
And they've just gone all out and cut all that. But, you've done some numbers on this. Why don't you talk through kind of what the impact is?
$1.5 billion of revenue just by making that change. And so you got to wonder if they're going to lose business that will be made up with that $1.5 billion.
I think, they're obviously making big changes, and I'm sure they've analyzed it from every direction. And that kind of ties into the next thing that we've got on the headlines for this week as well.
You bet. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But before we do, also later this year, you're going to see seat assignments that you're going to have to pay for on Southwest. So get this.
Some bigger seats.
Yeah, bigger seats. Like Comfort Plus type
premium economy type.
Yeah,
if you're equivalent to.
But you're going to have to pay
Airlines
for those, and there's another $1 billion. So they pick up $1.5 billion and $1 billion. There's $2.5 billion. And guess what happened with Wall Street?
Their stock went through the roof.
It went up, yeah. So imagine that. But hopefully there will be a customer or two left.
It'll be interesting to see because the next piece to this, especially as you've got both the bags and the seat assignments and the larger seats becoming available, becomes an adjustment to their frequent flyer program and a status process. Yeah. So I think that's probably something we'll see some adjustments to in the near future.
Speaking of Southwest again, this is big news. In a few days, we'll end their ability for people to buy their Southwest Companions Fly Free Pass. Yep. So that what they have, ladies and gentlemen, if you sign up for their credit card, they have the Southwest Rapid Rewards Plus credit card. You pay $69 fee, Paul. You charge $4,000 on the card within 90 days. You get a free companion pass. This thing is worth lots of bucks. If you traveled once every 2 months, 6 times a year, paid $400 for a ticket, brought along your spouse or friend, that's $2,400. Plus you get I don't know how many, like 30,000 free miles, frequent flyer miles. So that's probably another trip or two in there as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best deal in travel if you haven't done it. Now, our hashtag Snurley, who's recording this, bought a credit card last year and flew to Hawaii, right, Mr. Snurley?
Yeah.
Yep. So, but he can't get another card this year because you have to wait 2 years to get another card.
Is there another way to qualify for the companion
Yeah,
pass?
you have to travel all these miles.
Okay.
I mean, you'd have to be in the airport every 5 days.
So that's their goal, is they get people that are going to commit to Southwest Airlines and are going to travel a lot, and they're hoping that they're getting people that are going to travel enough and use the program enough to earn it for the second year.
Well, and have frequent flyer miles. And here's the other thing. Ladies and gentlemen, airlines don't make money with your butts in their seats. They make money selling miles to credit card companies. That's how they make their profit. So with that, number 4 on this week's Weekly Traveler reads, is domestic travel starting to slow down? Paul, we're starting to see a little bit in the corporate side, aren't we?
We've seen it really since the beginning of last October. We saw certain corporate clients that put in some travel restrictions. A lot of that I anticipated was just due to all that was going on with the election and the uncertainties with where that's going to go. And I think now what we've seen is, obviously the election's come and gone. We've got a new administration. The new administration's taking actions. Some of these actions, we don't know what all the impacts are going to be. So I see across many different industries, they're waiting to see what these impacts are going to be, and that's having an impact on corporate travel.
We saw United, American, and Delta both announced their first quarters were lower than they expected, and even United is going to mothball about 20 aircraft. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, domestic travel is slowing down, according to the airlines, or not what they anticipated. Of course, they've added hundreds of new planes this past year, and they were going to add another 1,000 planes this year. And they probably still will, just because they need to replace those older planes.
They need to do that. Plus, they're fighting for, what we are seeing is the people are going to Europe. So the vacation travelers are still jumping the ponds. But you need those nice planes for that.
Well, talk about a great segue
there we
into
go.
Our next heading. Paul just took my thunder. Okay, international travel appears to be getting even stronger. Paul, we've got the 25-year Jubilee in Italy.
Yep.
People all over the world going there. You've got baby boomers doing the cruises, the river cruises, right? You've got baby boomers spending their inheritance of their kids, and they're traveling. They don't want possessions. They want experiences. I know we're going to do like a Alaska cruise with the family this year, right?
Yep.
So those are the type of things that they cost a lot of money, but it's better than just buying a thing, right?
People buy their own things. It's kind of my thing, is that if you're going to do things with family, make it that experience. The memories are going to last forever.
You bet. So we're seeing that. Now, here's an interesting thing that's going to see how it plays out. What happened during the Paris Olympics last year? What happened with European travelers?
Everybody was worried about the crowds being overwhelming, and so then people just didn't travel.
They didn't show up.
They didn't show up.
The Paris Olympics were a dud because people thought, why would I go to Paris and fight the crowds? Well, there weren't any crowds. It'll be interesting to see if the same thing happens with the Jubilee in Italy, if the Europeans just won't show up.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen that with the Villa.
Yeah.
Is, typically the summer months, you're going to get Europeans. They like to travel. They can go somewhere. They'll drive 10, 12, 14 hours to get someplace, and then they will just relax. And so the Villa is perfect for that. And we're seeing less European bookings this year than what we've seen historically.
Well, and along that lines, it'll be very interesting to see after Easter what's going to happen internationally and domestically with the airlines. So that's the Weekly Traveler this week. Before we go, I want to brag about a little bit out of company, Paul. We have an objective to answer the phones with a live person in how many seconds?
Our goal is 15 seconds.
And we've been averaging 9 seconds. So we work really hard to service. Our motto is simplified travel.
Yep.
And we try to do that. So when you call our office, you don't press 1, 3, 4, 6, 8. You literally have the phone answered by a real person in 9 seconds. And they try to help you or find somebody that will help you. So we're kind of building good old-fashioned service back into the metric.
Well, it aligns with one of our core values, which is urgency.
Urgency.
And I think that's a differentiator as we look at our peers, and in particular some of the mega agencies that are out there. That you're going to a call center, those are experiences that we don't enjoy. So a goal that, as we aligned our core values, was to make sure that we're giving service at a level that we would expect and appreciate. So,
You bet.
So it's very important to us. In fact, all the managers, they've got that up on their monitors all day long to make sure that we're not getting offline anywhere there.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week.
Please like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback on topics that would be of interest for future episodes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.